Scrum metrics can make or break your team. There are so many out there. Which one should we choose? Which Scrum metric should we be tracking? In this video, I'm going to talk about what Scrum metrics we should be measuring in our team and why we should do those. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about Scrum, Agile and software best practices. Today our topic is Scrum metrics. Which one we should measure in our team and why? And what is the benefit of those? Number one is your sprint goal. How often do you meet your sprint goals? Sprint goal is not completing every single user story in your sprint backlog. Your sprint goals are those three topics, high level things, those goals your product owner gives you in beginning of sprint and you work towards. Each sprint goal will have multiple user stories assigned to it. So if you are an online retailer, then for your team a sprint goal could be to complete the checkout process. The sprint goal 2 could be integrate the PayPal payment system. And the third goal could be to cancel your order. And each of these three goals would have multiple user stories for it. And each of these goals are numbered 1 to 3. So the team focuses on the highest priority item first, then the second highest, and then the third. So that your team knows what is the priority and what are those goals. And then after they have met all of the three goals, then there might be other things like fixing bugs. It might be those ad hoc user stories, tasks that the team needs to do. But from business point of view, your product owner should be giving you sprint goals, and we want to measure how often does the team meet its sprint goals and track that. Over time we can see how predictable the team is. This metric ensures that your team is focused upon delivery, and also if your team is consistently meeting its sprint goals, it shows a well planned and well executed sprints. So I highly recommend that we should all measure our sprint goals, how often we meet them, at what level. The second goal every team should be measuring is their sprint velocity. If the team is using story points, then you can measure the velocity in story points. Or if you are not using story points, then you can just measure how many user stories team completes in a sprint. And that is a very good indicator as well, as this will help you to plan your upcoming sprints as well. The sprint velocity can provide so many insights into how the team is working and doing and how successful they are. For instance, if you see a sprint velocity chart where in every sprint, one sprint the velocity is really high, the next one is really low, then the next one is really high. This sort of shows that there is a bottleneck within your team where the user stories are getting stuck and are waiting to go through. For instance, it could be your testing process. If you're having to test everything manually, then one sprint the developers have done all of the development, but your user stories are waiting to be tested. In next sprint that all of those get tested, your velocity goes up, but in the next sprint we are back to the state where the developers have developed too many stories, but we haven't been able to test enough. So measuring velocity can provide many insights. Also, we should be using velocity charts to help us calculate how many story points or how many stories we can bring into a sprint. Remember that this metric is internal for the team to measure. You cannot compare one team's velocity with another team's velocity. And we shouldn't be forcing our team to increase the velocity points. If they want to increase the velocity, it's really easy. Just increase the size. Double the size of every single user story will instantly give you a really high velocity, but no real benefit or value will be delivered. You will just demoralize the team. Velocity measurement is internal for the team. It is there to help the team improve the processes, provide the insights to the team and the Scrum Master and the Agile coach. The third metric that I highly recommend that you should be measuring or tracking, shall I say, is your Burndown chart. In our daily Scrum, for my teams, we bring up the Burndown chart first thing. We look at our Burndown chart and then we'll move to our daily Scrum, so that we are keeping an eye out on how our Burndown chart is going, because it also sort of shows how agile are we. If we see that our Burndown chart just goes straight up in the big waterfall, it means we are not agile. Our processes aren't smooth enough. Our user stories are too big. We want our Burndown chart to go down in smaller jumps and track that grey line, which is our ideal track line. We also want to make sure our Burndown chart is going down. It's not having these random spikes going up. We want to make sure that our sprints are locked down and people are not adding new things during the sprints. Burndown is a really nice way to visualize how we as a Scrum team are progressing. And I always put that before each of our daily Scrum just to encourage us to see how we are progressing towards our sprint goal. Are we going to be able to meet our sprint goals? Are we going to be able to meet everything we committed to in our sprint? So a Burndown chart is a nice visualization of how we are doing towards our sprint goal and completing the user stories we had committed in our sprint. Next one is our cycle time. It's a nice measure to keep a track of what is our team cycle time. Cycle time is when we start a user story to when we move it to done. How long does it take? What is our development timeline? Are we really fast? Are we really agile? We get our user stories within a day from start to finish, or it takes us forever? As a agile, as a Scrum team, we want our cycle time to be short as much as possible. So it's a really nice way to track what our cycle time is. When we bring in any process changes, if you are tracking our cycle time, this would be the first indicator to see if this process is helping our team, if it's an enabler, this new process we have put in, or is it slowing us down. So track our cycle time. It is a really nice, good metric for us as a team internally to track, and for also the engineering managers to track for their teams to see how agile they are as well. The next metric is the lead time. The lead time is an average of when we add something to our product backlog. When something comes into your Jira backlog to time when it gets delivered, what is that lead time? So if a customer requests a feature to you, a functionality to you, on average, how long does it take? And also we want to track our lead time for our bugs. So if there is a bug that we have found in our product, how long does it take for us to fix? These are all really important metrics for us to know. If you want to be a competitor in this competitive world, if you want to be leader, we need to be faster. If our queues are really long, then we won't be able to change when we need to. The next metric on our list is escape defect. How many defects in each sprint are escaping to production that we did not find in our testing and in our development process? Every time we make a release to production, how many defects are found by our end users in that release? Because this metric highlights how robust our development process is, how robust our product is, and how agile we are. If we want to have a continuous integration and continuous deployment, then that defect figure needs to be really low. Our testing best practices need to be there, and how well our development practices are helping us in achieving a robust product. If for every single release we are getting loads and loads of defects, then we need to change our development methodology, our development processes, and improve them and bring more best practices in, like test-driven development, like behavior-driven development, like automated testing, unit testing, all of those things to make sure that our product is robust. Or there's no point. If our escape defect rate is really high, it means every time we are releasing a new feature into production, we are creating more bugs in our system. Slowly, rather than increasing the features, we are also increasing the number of issues within our product. Very soon that product is going to be unmanageable. It's going to become really flaky, and our customers will hate that. So if you want a robust product, then we need to track our escape defects and keep that number to really low. And if we see a massive change in this escape defect metric after a release, then we need to go back and revisit, have a retro, what went wrong or what went well, for instance, and learn from that. And also all of those development best practices that we put in, they should help us reduce this defect ratio, and we can clearly prove that these best practices are helping us or not by measuring this escape defect metric. There are a few more. I will rapidly run through these. So the next one is the team happiness. The more happy your team is, the better and more productive, more motivated they're going to be. So you want to regularly check in with your Scrum teams to see how happy they are feeling and track that as well. And if there is any massive negative or positive change, then you want to take action based upon that as well and see the root cause of it. The other one I highly recommend you do as a metric is team's predictability. How predictable is your team? So if you are planning for a next quarter or for important release, then the more predictable your team is in delivery, then with more confidence you'll be able to plan that release. Another one that I recommend is that you measure your team's work in progress limit. How many things does your team continuously have open in progress throughout the sprint? We want to reduce this number because we want the team to work on one thing, focus on one thing, and stop multitasking, stop task switching. So by having a track of the team's average work in progress number will help you understand how focused the team is and what level of distractions are they getting. If there are other metrics that you guys can think of, please leave them in a chat below, put it in a comment so that we can together learn from each other and expand on this knowledge and practice. We can help each other learn and grow. Thank you very much for watching and making it so far. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, thank you very much.